This is the most difficult game, I think, for Birmingham City in the context of our next 5 games. It's away from home. As I say, they're up there, and if they beat us, they go 1 point behind us. So, a lot of pressure on this game. But I completely agree with you. That Charlton loss kind of came at the right time because we wanted to bounce back. We did against Shrewsbury. We were fantastic. And during this international break, Chris Davis is going to have the players fired up on the training pitch. He's not going to want to see that again. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And we're back this week with another score prediction video. And just a quick apology, really, because the past few weeks have been pretty hit and miss in League One, just in terms of midweek games. We've had the international break, so it's been difficult to really get some momentum on these videos. But we have a full schedule ahead for Saturday, so we're back this week with another score prediction video for the whole of League One, including our Birmingham City. But as always, I'm going to hand over to Dad at the start of this video just to get an overview of where we are, because even though the games have been postponed, we've still been sharing our score predictions, even though there's only been a couple of games on certain weeks. So, Dad, quick overview of where we are and the scores and the points.
Well, somehow, as you know, first few weeks I was behind, and then I was catching up, and then you went ahead a little bit again. But as we're going into this particular game week now, we're dead level on 64 points each.
Wow.
You, at the last full game week, got a couple of exact scores, but I got more of the outcomes correctly.
Yeah. It's usually the other way around, isn't it?
It is, and that just shows you, once again, the unpredictability of this league. But we are level at 64 each going
Pretty
into...
impressive.
It is that we are so close. I think, but like all score predictions, it literally is just a prediction, isn't it? And it's hard sometimes to understand, well, how did that happen?
Yeah, true. But I feel like what I'm finding now, Dad, because we're going to get into our score predictions for this week in a minute. The league is starting to take some sort of shape.
Yeah.
So it's not getting easier. I think predicting scores is extremely difficult. But with the league starting to get a little bit more settled, I'm starting to get more familiar with the teams, and it's making these predictions a little bit easier, just in terms of knowing the teams and the league settling down a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. So, do you want me to bounce the first fixture to you?
So no, we'll go in the opposite direction. So we'll start with you, and then we'll go to me. So, Dad, first game this week is Shrewsbury Town at home to Exeter City. What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, we saw Shrewsbury, didn't we, against Blues in the EFL Trophy, and we won that. Birmingham City won that 4-0, and the honest response is that Shrewsbury weren't, were very effective. But then this weekend they went fantastic game, didn't they? I mean, Crawley had a man sent off, but they ended up winning that game 5-3.
Yeah.
So, and that was their first away win since March, and first win in 15 games or something like that. They had a pretty poor record. Yeah. But Exeter, they've done well. Exeter are 7th in the table at the moment. They've won 3 and drawn 1 of their last 4. So I'm going to go for an away win here. I'm going to go for Shrewsbury 1, Exeter 2.
A close game.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you said, I can't believe Exeter are in 7th. That's no disrespect to Exeter. In fact, it's a compliment. They're having an absolute great season, aren't they? So, hopefully that continues for them, that they can on that playoff trajectory.
Yeah. And
as you say, Shrewsbury have been having a difficult time. I picked them to be down in the relegation zone this season. Great win for them against Crawley this weekend. And my gut would say away win. But the amount of times I reflect on these scores and I go, how did that happen? So I've actually gone for a little bit of a curveball, and I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Are you going for a draw?
I've gone for a draw, yeah.
Okay, let me just put that into my spreadsheet. So Matt says 1-1.
Yep.
Okay, next game, Matt, is Reading against Crawley.
So Reading at the minute are currently sitting in 17th, and they've got more turmoil off the pitch, haven't they? They've just been announced they're in more trouble with the league, finances and the ownership, and I think they've got a full embargo now. No one can come in, pretty much. So really bad time to be a Reading supporter, sadly. I genuinely mean this, I really hope that gets sorted for them as quickly as possible, because we don't want to see teams go through that.
No.
And Crawley are in 22nd at the minute, and they lost to Shrewsbury, as you mentioned, Dad, in the previous score prediction. So that's a game that Crawley should have looked at and thought they had to get 3 points from that. They need to beat the teams around them if you're going to stay up in this division. But I think Reading are still going to have too much for Crawley. I've gone for Reading 2, Crawley 1.
2-1,
Yeah.
Okay. All the reasons you said, really. Crawley won the first 2 games of this season, 6 points out of 2 games. Then they lost 7 out the next 8. They also lost their manager, didn't they, partway through that? So he went to MK Dons. Reading, we do really feel for them. We've been in turmoil ourselves as a club. But Reading have done well at home. They've had 5 games and won 4, won 4 and lost 1.
They're not a bad side, Reading.
No, to me, this has got to be a home win. I've gone 3-0.
3-0, wow.
3-0 to Reading, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So that brings on to our next game, Dad, and that's Wickham at home to Peterborough.
Wickham have done very, very well, haven't they? I mean, we played them our first away game, wasn't it? Against, or was it second? No, was it first or second away game?
First away game,
First.
second game.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it was Wickham, and they weren't overly impressive when we played them. But now they're fifth in the league, and out the last 7 games, they've won 5 and drawn 2. So they're on a really, really good run of form. Peterborough, you always expect them to do well in this league, and I think that they've had a lot of transition of players. They are, as we stand at the moment, they're 12th in the league, just coming off the back of a 3-3 draw against Rotherham, which they came back from 3-1 down to do that. They've got good players in there. I mean, but on the basis that Wickham are at home, I've still gone on the side of a draw here. I've gone 2-2.
I've gone exactly the same.
Have you?
I can't waste too much time with that for exactly the same reasons you've listed, really. I mean, the fact Wickham are sitting in 5th, absolutely testament to them. Fair play. And again, we're a friendly podcast. I hope that trend continues for them and they can actually end up in the playoffs. Imagine Wickham making a playoff push. That'd be brilliant. And
Yeah.
I think we dubbed them at the start of the season, that actually, to be possibly.
I think they were strong last year as well in this league.
They're not a bad team, Wickham. And I thought Peterborough would be doing better than 12th.
Yeah.
But they've always got goals in them, haven't they, Peterborough?
Yeah.
So that's why I've gone for a 2-2 draw, because
Interesting,
Wickham average 2 goals a game and Peterborough just seem to score goals for fun, although they leak a lot of goals. So
Yeah.
I think it's got 2-2 written all over it.
Yeah, there's always goals in Peterborough games, isn't there?
Yeah.
Next match, we come on to Blackpool versus Barnsley.
This is going to be a good game. I think this is going to be a really good game because Blackpool are doing really well under Bruce, aren't they? They've really had that new manager bounce. They've picked up some really good results under Bruce. I think they might have lost their last game actually, but
They did.
They did, yeah. But they have generally done very well under Bruce. And Barnsley, I don't know what team's going to turn up for Barnsley. They're so unpredictable.
Yeah.
They really are. And the fact Blackpool are at home, I've gone for Blackpool 2, Barnsley 0.
2-0.
I've gone for a home win on that.
Just type that into my spreadsheet before I forget. So 2-0, you've gone for. Okay.
To Blackpool.
Yeah, now they're very they're right next to each other in the table.
Yeah.
Since Steve Bruce took over, and they have 4 wins in a row, and then they've drawn and lost. They lost to Mansfield, which is no disgrace really. Mansfield are doing really, really well. Barnsley are really unpredictable. They're 11th in the table at the moment, and they've only won 1 of the last 5, drawing 2 and losing 2. So. Barnsley are away, aren't they? But I've gone for a 1-1 draw here.
Yeah.
I just think that, because Barnsley, like you said, you don't know which Barnsley are going to turn up. But in a game like this, when I think that most people like you have expected Blackpool to win, it's a type of game that they could potentially get something out of. Yeah. I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Fair, yeah. And I also think because Blackpool lost their last game, they're going to want to bounce back from that and be strong again. But moving on to that. So next game is not Barnsley. Bolton at home to Burton. What are your thoughts for that?
Yeah, Bolton have started to turn the corner now. They had a really poor run of form. They've won 3 and drawn 1 of the last 4. Still making them 14th. Yes, 14th in the table, but they're only a couple of points off the playoffs. This is how tight the league is at the moment, and it will be like this for a little while. Burton are on their second bottom. They've not won in the last 10. They've lost the last 4. And they've drawn a lot of games. I can't see Burton, with the greatest respect to them, getting anything from this game. I've gone for Bolton 2, Burton 0.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think a lot of people will be tipping Bolton to do very well in this game. And again, Dad, for a lot of the reasons you've listed, the fact Burton haven't won a game yet and now they're going away to Bolton doesn't hold out much hope, does it?
No.
And Burton are going to be in for a tough season as well. But they are involved in some goals in some games. They have been involved in some decent scores. So for that reason, I have gone for a Bolton win. I've gone for Bolton 4, Burton 2.
4-2.
I've gone for a high scoring game.
So 4-2. Okay. Next match, that brings us on to Cambridge versus Wigan.
So Cambridge, Dad, are going to be in for another tough season. I think we dubbed them at the start of the season to be down in the relegation zone, and they've proved that, they haven't won this season. In fact, they've only drew 1, they've lost 8.
Yeah.
So not a good season for Cambridge so far. And Wigan looked good when we saw them, didn't they? We had to score in the 90 plus 3rd minute to beat them. But again, a bit like Bolton, a bit like some other teams in this division, Barnsley, you don't know which Wigan are going to turn up. They're a little bit unpredictable. But I still think they're going to have too much power for Cambridge, and I've gone for Cambridge 0, Wigan 2.
0-2.
0-2.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Cambridge having a torrid season, aren't they? 1 point so far they've got out of their first 9 games. And last 6 on the bounce that they've lost. Wigan, surprisingly 16th. I thought they'd be higher in the table.
I think they will.
But I think they will. Like we said, the table's tight anyway, so if you win a game, you probably got about 4 or 5 places.
Exactly.
But at some point, Cambridge have got to start picking points up, and they've got to start picking them up at home. I don't think they're good enough to beat Wigan, but I'll go for a 0-0 draw.
Okay, a little bit of a curveball. Is that one of those ones when I said earlier when sometimes you look at the scores and you think, how did that happen? So like a little bit of
I did these score predictions yesterday
Right.
in prep for this as well,
Yeah.
and I've looked at that and I'm reading. I'm thinking, why did I put that?
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick with it because I don't change my prediction. So I must have thought that was what I wanted to do at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
particular time. But I'm going for 0-0.
I've done that a few times. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I have to back it up because we're recording. I'm thinking, why have I done that?
I know,
I don't think.
but I've gone for 0-0.
Okay, so that brings us on to our next game, Dad, and that's Charlton at home to Stockport. Should be a good game.
It should be. They're both up there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Charlton are 8th in the table, and Stockport are 6th. Charlton, as you know, beat Birmingham City in the last game and deserved to beat Birmingham City as well. There's no point in hiding from that. Stockport, they're 6th place. Is a very good, solid start to the season. I think though, Charlton will take a lot from beating Birmingham City and the way they beat Birmingham City, and they've set a blueprint for themselves, and I think they'll follow that, and I think they'll beat Stockport. I've gone 2-1. Charlton 2, Stockport 1.
If Charlton play every week like they played against Blues, they'll nab the second promotion space.
Yeah.
They were set up really, really well. And, fair enough, they had a lot of chances from our allowing them to in terms of mistakes, but they were just set up very compact. They were very hard to break down. So I have no doubt if they set up like that, they'll do very well.
Yeah.
And I could see Charlton making the playoffs. I could see Stockport making the playoffs. So
Yeah.
close game. I've gone for the classic. Dad, if I say to you classic Charlton score, what do you think that is?
1-0 Charlton.
Yeah.
Is that what you've gone for?
I've gone for 1-0 Charlton, yeah.
Charlton 1, Stockport 0. That's interesting. We've both gone for a home win. But obviously, I've gone for 2-1. You've gone for 1-0. Okay, so that brings us on then to Huddersfield versus Bristol Rovers.
So Huddersfield are currently sitting in 9th. Their recent form, they started off pretty well, but their recent form hasn't been amazing. So they're going to want to get back to winning ways. And Bristol Rovers are sitting in 18th. And again, I'm going to put Bristol Rovers in that same category, a little bit unpredictable. They've had some really good results, then they've had results where you think, how have they lost that or drew that, So a little bit unpredictable, but they are lower than what I expected because I feel like Bristol Rovers are a pretty established League One team now. So I've gone for Huddersfield 2, Bristol Rovers 1. Gone for a home win.
Gone for a home win, okay. Yeah. Let me just type that in, 2-1 to Huddersfield. Right,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, as you said, Huddersfield have had a pretty bad run of results, but they did win their last game. And I think as well with them, they got a lot of injuries as well, Huddersfield. In particular, I mean, Hellick is a big loss for them, isn't he? We saw them a few weeks ago against Birmingham. We only beat them 1-0, but it was a 1-0.
It was, yeah.
It was
dominant 1-0.
It was a dominant 1-0. We should have had more goals, but they are 9th in the table, and we always think that that they're going to have the quality to be in the playoffs, maybe even challenge for the automatics if they can get a few good run of results together. Bristol Rovers have they've started to improve steadily. They're 18th at the moment, but they've won the last 2. So they've got a bit of momentum going, which is why I think this will be close, Ida, because Huddersfield, obviously being at home, you'd think that they would have enough to beat Bristol Rovers, but there's something tells me there's going to be a draw here, 1-1.
1-1 draw.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings on to our next game, Dad. It involves our beloved Birmingham City. Lincoln at home to Birmingham. What are your thoughts about?
Yeah, I think this is the game of the weekend. Obviously, Lincoln are in 4th. We are in 1st. We've had our first loss of the season, didn't we, at Charlton? And, it was a disappointing performance for us. Lincoln have won 2, drawn 1 and lost 1 at home, but they haven't lost in 7 games. So they've won 4 and drawn 3 in the last 7. In fact, won 2 and drawn 3 of the last 5. So they don't drop many points, but they're the home team. But I think that this will be a close game. But I think that we will have, or our players will have a point to prove. And I've gone for Lincoln 1, Birmingham 2.
I've gone for exactly the same score, Dad. Yeah, I really have. Yeah, I've gone for Lincoln 1, Birmingham 2. As you said, Lincoln are in 4th. If they do beat us, Dad, they only go 1 point behind us. That's how much of a good season they're having. This is the most difficult game, I think, for Birmingham City in the context of our next 5 games. It's away from home. As I say, they're up there. And if they beat us, they go 1 point behind us. So, a lot of pressure on this game. But I completely agree with you. That Charlton loss kind of came at the right time because we wanted to bounce back. We did against Shrewsbury. We were fantastic. And during this international break, Chris Davis is going to have the players fired up on the training pitch. He's not going to want to see that again. No. I think he's almost going to be thinking as well about different ways to break teams down because it showed against Charlton we can be a little bit one-dimensional, can't we? So yeah. I think he's going to be all guns blazing, players fired up. This isn't going to be an easy game. That's not me saying we're going to go there a comfortable 2-1 because Lincoln press extremely high. In fact, they press with a 4. So if we can break that press, we're going to do very well. But if we find problems like we did against Charlton, they could do that. They could undo us a little bit. So I've gone for a close game. Lincoln 1, Birmingham 2.
Yeah, same as me. Okay. Next map, we've got Mansfield versus Stevenage.
So Mansfield, as we all know, are having a brilliant season, and I think you mentioned in a recent video, Dad, they're doing well, and this is no disrespect to Mansfield because you have to beat the teams in front of you, and they've won them, so fair play. But they have played the bottom sort of half teams and a few of the teams which are in the relegation zone.
Crawley, Shrewsbury,
Exactly.
Cambridge,
So Stevenage is going to be a real challenge for them, and Stevenage are no pushovers. They're a very good team. So me personally, I think this has got draw written all over it. So I've gone Mansfield 1, Stevenage 1.
You've gone 1-1?
1-1.
Yeah, okay. I'm just put it into my spreadsheet. 1-1. Right. Yeah, again, as you said, Mansfield are in third. They've done very, very well. They've won 5 on the bounce.
Yep.
And deserve to be in third.
Great season, absolutely.
Yeah, Stevenage, they're not doing too bad. They're mid-table. They're in 13th at the moment. The only thing I would say, they've not done very well on the road. They've drawn 2 and lost 3 of their 5. So they haven't won on the road yet. And they're going up against a Mansfield team with a load of confidence. I can't see anything here past a Mansfield win. I've got Mansfield 3, Stevenage 1.
Wow, a pretty convincing win as well. Yeah, fair play. Okay, and that brings on to our next game, and that's Northampton at home to Leyton Orient. What are your thoughts for that?
Yeah, Northampton again struggling. They're just above the relegation zone in 20th place, having lost 3 on the bounce. Leyton Orient, surprisingly, are only just 1 place above them. I thought they'd be better than that because we did beat them early in the season, and they did look half decent. Even though we did beat them, they still look half decent. But they're in 19th, and they've the last 4 they've drawn 2 and lost 2. So neither team are in great form. Again, I'm going to go with my gut instinct here, based upon what we saw earlier in the season. I want to go for Northampton 0, Leyton Orient 2.
God, exactly the same. This is strange. We're actually picking quite a few exact scores, aren't we? Yeah. Northampton 0, Leyton Orient 2. Again, a gut feeling from me, Dad, because we saw Leyton Orient and they weren't a bad team. And I watched Leyton Orient quite early because I was doing my research. It's quite funny. Their manager always pops up on my YouTube feed now, and their highlights always pop up on my YouTube feed. So if I'm in bed at night and I'm just doing a little bit of mindless scrolling, I'll end up watching now Leyton Orient highlights, and they're not a bad team, and they've been unlucky in a few games. I think they will do way better than 19th once the final fixture of the season. I can see Leyton Orient being a mid-table team by the time the season ends. I really believe that. And Northampton, I think, are going to be one of the weaker, definitely down bottom half, if not in the relegation battle. So I've gone for Northampton 0, Leyton Orient 2.
So the final fixture of this game week is Rotherham at home to Wrexham.
So I'm not saying it just because we're Birmingham City fans, but you did say this as well. I think Lincoln-Birmingham is the highlight of this weekend, and I think Rotherham-Wrexham is the second game just below it, in my opinion, because Rotherham and Wrexham play such similar styles of football from what I've seen, and Rotherham being the home team, they will be decently strong at home this season, I believe that. And, Wrexham are going to want to continue piling the pressure on Blues. So, going to be a really interesting game. I think it should make for a good game. I've gone for Rotherham 2, Wrexham 2. Gone for a draw.
So have I.
Have you?
I've gone for 2-2 as well. I think that with this game, Rotherham are now starting to show signs of resilience a little bit. They are only where are they in the league? They're still 15th in the league, but they've drawn 1-1, drawn of their last 4 after a number of losses that they had. So I think they're starting to pick up points now, and I think because they're the home team, we went to Rotherham, didn't we? Birmingham City, and completely dominated them a few weeks ago. Yeah. So if Wrexham played the same type of pressing game that we played, I think there'll be goals in this. But I think that Rotherham now are starting to show a bit of momentum. And that's why I've gone for 2-2, because I always feel with Wrexham's home record, I know they're not at home here, but they've got 15 points out of 15 at home. So their away record is 1-1, drawn 2 and lost 2, so they're not as good on the road, which is why I think this will be a draw.
Wrexham have got 100% home record. That's good, isn't it? That's really good.
But their away record is not as good. I mean, Wrexham, have the capabilities of winning this game. I just feel that now that I think Steve Evans is starting to get Rotherham sorted out, and I think that 2-2 is what will finish.
Also, they're very similar in style. They're very lump it in the box. They're both very direct teams with their attacking style of play. So I just think they'll both cancel each other out, but there will be goals. And as I say, I could see, this is that game. I could see a Rotherham win, I could see a draw, and I could see a Wrexham win. I could see all 3 eventualities on this one, but I have played it with a draw, and I've gone for 2-2.
Well, interestingly, 3 of the last 4 score predictions for us are identical.
It's really 3 of
We
the last
got
4.
the same score for Lincoln Birmingham, same score for Northampton Leyton Orient, same score for Rotherham Wrexham.
Is there any higher up before that as well? Because I think we matched 1 maybe earlier on, or if not, it's just those last 3 of the last 4.
Wycombe Peterborough
Wycombe,
2.
Peterborough,
So
yeah.
we got about four fixtures there that are the same.
Either we spend too much time together, or we're getting used to the league and we're actually starting to crack it a little bit.
Well, we say cracky, but that's just predictions, isn't it? As well. If it would be impressive if all of those were exactly correct.
That would be good, wouldn't
but
it?
they won't be.
Yeah, no, they won't be. No, exactly. Any final thoughts, Dad, before we wrap up the video? Or?
No, I'm looking forward to going to Lincoln. We were lucky enough to get tickets for that, and looking forward to watching the Blues again. I'm just hoping for a better performance because it was really out of character, wasn't it, against Charlton?
Yeah.
So, but we'll see.
But as always, we'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts about some of the score predictions that we discussed? Blues fans, of course, would love to hear from you. And of course, maybe you've stumbled across this channel and this video for the first time and you're a supporter from another club. Did you hear your team pop up with one of the score predictions that you maybe agree with, maybe you disagree with? All opinions are welcome on this channel. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you do have an opinion, drop us a comment in the section below, and myself and Dad will get around to that as quickly as we can. And please check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify now, so you can listen to us over there. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any future content all about Birmingham City. And myself and Dad will see you on the next video.